This is season 2 of The Sweater with Kathleen Dames. Over the course of our 12-week season, we will knit the pearly pullover together. Hello, my friends, and welcome to season 2, episode 1 of The Sweater with Kathleen Dames. Yay! I'm very excited to start our second season, and I hope you are too. So, as you know, we're going to be knitting the pearly pullover. I'm wearing it today because I want to measure Jane, and I want to measure Jane without her clothes on. Lady Jane is my mannequin, and she's about my size. We have slightly different bits, but the bust measurement and the general measurements are close enough that she can wear sweaters that I knit for myself, and that's really helpful. So Jane and I are getting ready to knit another pearly pullover. And you should already have the pattern if you've signed up for the newsletter at kathleendames.com/thesweater. And you should have received a link to download the pattern in your welcome email. If you don't have it, please feel free to send me an email. So the pattern, we've got our lovely front page. You don't need to print the front page out. That's why I always try and put the pictures on the front page, but nothing else that you really desperately need to knit the pattern. So you can save ink if you want by not printing page 1. Page 2 is where all the stuff you need to know before you get started happens. We've got your measurements, the materials list, your gauge, any little notes that I don't think are appropriate to keep in the pattern, but I think will help you. And then, of course, your list of abbreviations, and most importantly, the schematic. It shows the measurements of the finished knitted piece. And that's what the finished measurements up here at the top are, also of the final knitted item. So for the pearly pullover, we want to think about ease. This is not a va-va-voom sweater like our first season where we knit the solstice cardi. That was a fitted sweater. That we wanted even a little negative ease. We wanted to really hug our curves, take advantage of that aspect of knitted fabric that it can stretch and flex over our bodies. This time we're going for something a little more casual. I call the pearly pullover my sort of fanciest sweatshirt. The original one was knit in Madeline Tosh Pashmina, which is a merino cashmere nylon blend. No, I'm sorry, no nylon, silk. So, it's really luscious. And so it really is my sort of fanciest sweatshirt because it's a very relaxed style, but a special fabric. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about yarn, but first we're going to think about what size we want to knit. And so if you know your measurements, then you can decide how much ease you want, but you need to know your measurements first. So let's take a minute and check Jane out. Oop. Let's see, this should be about right. You want to measure over the fullest part of the bust for this one. Sometimes patterns want you to measure on the over bust, which would be here sort of right under the armpits, and that's a slightly narrower spot. But for this one, we're going for fullest part of the bust. And so there we go. And Jane is pretty much a 38. So that helps us know that gives us the information we need to start, right? So she's got a 38-inch bust. But I don't think we want a 38-inch sweater. We don't want a second skin sweater here. So in fact, I'm wearing the 40-inch size. So we've got 2 inches of ease. And I think that's a good place to start. If you like a really relaxed sweater, you might even want to go up to as much as 4 inches of ease. Ease is the difference between your measurements and the garment's measurements. And the larger the number, the greater the ease, and the bigger the garment is on your body. And then of course there's negative ease, and that's when you knit something that measures smaller than your body. We did that with the solstice cardi, and we did about 2 inches of negative ease there, and that really sort of stretches the fabric a little. It's snug and form-fitting, and that's great for that. But for this, we're really looking for something with a little bit of positive ease. The sleeves are designed to be on the slim side, and that sort of was just the way I liked it. If you decide that you would like bigger arms, you can of course sort of franken knit. You can take a look. There is an upper sleeve circumference here. You know, you can make some changes and alterations, and we can talk about that more as we go along. So I'm again going to knit the 40-inch size that will fit my 38-inch Jane's and my 38-inch bust. We don't need to worry about any other measurements for this one except the length of the body and the length of the sleeve. But any other circumferences, we're just going, it's going to be 40 inches all the way up from hem to underarm, and then we'll join things together and it'll be bigger than that. But 40 inches is our sort of magic number. If you have bigger hips or a stomach, then your bust measurement, if you are pear-shaped, you could consider casting on for a larger size, doing some decreases up the sides to get yourself to the bust measurement that you want. And that's a great way to, so you'd start with the bigger size, but you'd switch to the smaller size for the yoke for this part of the sweater. What else do we need to know? Obviously I can't measure Jane's arms, so I either like to hold up, you know, to measure from my armpit, and that gives me, I have long arms, I would need a 21-inch sleeve. And does that correspond to what we know? In fact, in the pattern, it's an 18-inch sleeve here. So I will probably work my sleeves a little bit longer. And there are a few different ways you can do that. You can spread out the increases, throw in a few more rounds between increases, or you can start the increases a little later if you want a snug cuff going up further, or you can just do the increases as written and then work longer to your desired length. And that's probably what I will do. The other thing is, of course, the length of the sweater overall. And mine, I don't think you can see, maybe you can see now, this fits at, it stops at the high hip. If you want a longer sweater, no problem. You know, you could even go sort of tunic length. Bear in mind that you will need more yarn. So that's the only thing to keep in mind if you want to make those kind of length alterations. This is a great sweater for knitting longer, for being more comfortable, but remember that it's sort of refined sweatshirt, so you don't want to get it too sloppy. Don't choose too big a size. Trust that the knit fabric will flatter your figure, and don't be afraid to be sort of close to your measurements, but definitely keep it on the plus side, not the minus side for this one. So I think that's everything that we need to talk about today. If you haven't gotten your copy of the pattern, be sure to sign up at KathleenDames.com/thesweater. And if you have any questions, please ask them in Ravelry forums. I have a group, Kathleen Dames Design, and each episode will have its own thread in my forum. And that's a great place to ask questions. If I check the forums daily, and but if you ask right after I've checked, and I'm not going to check till tomorrow, somebody else might have the answer. It's a great group. Also, be sure to check through the thread and see if somebody's already asked your question. But don't be shy. You are not alone. If you have a question, there are other knitters who have the question too. So be the person to ask it. I'm always happy to answer and help you be a more confident knitter. So thank you so much for being here. Come back next week and we're going to talk all about yarn and needles and all that kind of good stuff before we really get started on the knitting. So if you haven't chosen your yarn yet, you still have time to do so. And then it'll take us to week 3 and we'll actually start knitting. So don't worry, it's not a race. Remember, these episodes will be up here as long as the internet is a thing, so don't worry about that either. So thank you so much for being here and happy knitting. Bye. This is season 2 of The Sweater with Kathleen Dames. Over the course of our 12-week season, we will knit the Pearly Pullover together. Many thanks to Reen at Happy Fuzzy Yarns, Corinna at Picnic Knits, Tara Swiger and my fellow Starship captains, and you for being a part of The Sweater with Kathleen Dames. Don't forget to visit KathleenDames.com/thesweater to sign up for the newsletter before July 22nd to receive your free copy of the Pearly Pullover in your welcome email. Is it after July 22nd? Just not a joiner? Purchase your copy of the Pearly Pullover from my Ravelry shop anytime. Be sure to share your progress on social media with the hashtags Pearly Pullover and KD Sweater. Questions? Comments? Visit the Kathleen Dames Design for Ravelry forum today. Thanks so much for joining me, and happy knitting!